Hello, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the J Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Nowakowski, and I've got a rather interesting episode for all of you today. So, before I get the episode started, first of all, YouTube listeners, check out the jersey. Got the Ja Morant Vancouver Grizzlies jersey going on. Sorry right now if you hear background noise. That is my cats or kittens right now. They are running around the room, but that's okay. And as you can tell if you're watching on YouTube, the banners are back in the background. Yes, the background is back up. I got my banners up. And so yeah, let's just get straight into today's episode. I said it's going to be rather interesting, which it is because we are at the time of this recording, which I'm recording this on March the 12th. We are at the 1-year anniversary of basically sports shutting down. So I want to talk about that because there's a lot that's happened. I want to talk about looking back at the situation, looking at what happened, the events that occurred, and where we are today. I think that's something fun. I want to talk about it. So yeah. I know on Monday I put out a podcast on the Dak Prescott contract and what happened with all of that. And tomorrow I'll be recording with everyone's favorite guest, George Martin. He's going to be back, and we're going to do the recap and talk about all that, talk some March Madness. Oh, there goes the Vikings banner. Alrighty. That's just another indicator why I need more new Velcro, which I'm buying hopefully before tomorrow's podcast with George. So, but anyways, that's neither here nor there. But tomorrow will be a recap of the week, kind of talking some NBA news. Yeah, so that's going to be tomorrow's episode. But for today's episode, so March 12th, 2020. Well, I'm going to start March 11th, March 12th, 2020, because this is a day that will forever be engraved in sports history. So, let's start off with the event started on March 11th with in the NBA. So I'm just gonna talk about the sports world. I'm not gonna talk about politics. I don't want to talk about anything else. I just want to talk about what happened in the sports world. That's what this is all gonna be about. What happened in the sports world. So, and also, if you need another great podcast to listen to, I highly, highly recommend the 30 for 30 podcasts, which is a great podcast. So 30 for 30, which is ESPN, they put out a podcast back in December, which I didn't even know about, but it was out in December, and I listened to it on March 11th. It's called March 11th, 2020. And it's just about that day and what happened in the NBA history. They have tons of guests: Scott Van Pelt, Ramon Shelbourne, Doris Burke, Jordan Clarkson, Billy Donovan, Rudy Gobert, the halftime performer who was supposed to play at halftime for the Thunder that night, a jazz beat reporter. There was a bunch of awesome guests on this podcast, and it's about an hour long. I would totally give it a listen. But anyways, so March 11th, 2020. So, we woke up and I remember everything. I'm going to talk about where I was, my experiences. So, cats are going crazy right now. Sorry, guys. But March 11th, 2020, it was a normal day for me. I had work that day, and this all kind of happened when I was at work, kind of. While I was at work, well, the big part happened while I was at work. So it was just like any other day. I knew COVID was a thing, or coronavirus really is what I was calling it at that time. I didn't have a nickname for it, but coronavirus was going on. There were under 1,000 cases in the U.S. at this time. That's crazy to think about. There were under 1,000 cases in the U.S. when this all happened. And so it started at 1:43 p.m. where the Golden State Warriors announced they will not play without fans for their scheduled game March 12th. So that's where it kind of started. And then a few hours later, the NCAA announced that they will have no fans at the NCAA March Madness tournament. at 4:34. And then at 5:47, the Blue Jackets to play without fans indefinitely. So indefinitely, how long does that mean? And then it was at 6:38, the Sharks playing without fans indefinitely. And then this is where it got very, very weird, strange, and odd. So the Utah Jazz and Oklahoma City Thunder were set to play each other. And they were very close in the standings. I believe they would have been playing, if the playoffs had started that day, they were the 4-5 matchup. So it was going to be a good game. And there was a lot on the line. And I'm going to talk a lot about what they say in the 30 for 30 podcast, just as reference, because they go into a lot of detail that I didn't know about. So there were a few. So Rudy Gobert and Emmanuel Mudiay were not feeling well. And they'd kind of heard about this coronavirus thing going on. So they said, okay, you know what? Here's the best thing we're going to do. We're going to get tested for the flu. Test come back positive, you're okay. That's what they were assuming. This is what they knew at the time. So they both get tested for the flu. Mudiay comes back positive. All right, he's got the flu. That's okay. Gobert comes back negative. And so at that point, it was get him to the closest hospital to get tested. Because tests were still fairly new, so it was still kind of hard to get tested, unlike today where you can get tested like every day if you want. So Rudy Gobert goes to the hospital and he gets tested, and the Jazz and Thunder are warming up, and they're getting ready to play, full crowd of fans, and we are 5 minutes to tip off. 5 minutes to tip off. And the owner of the Thunder gets the notice that Gobert tested positive. And he's like, okay, we need to establish an emergency meeting right now. So they go find a room to sit in, get an emergency meeting, get Adam Silver on the phone. Meanwhile, this is about 5 to 6 minutes before tip-off. And so they agreed, okay, it's probably best to not play this game. And then you saw the team doctors ran onto the court to get to the refs and let them know the situation. The refs get to the coaches and huddle up the coaches, and we're like, okay, here's the situation. Rudy Gobert has coronavirus, has COVID-19. And Billy Donovan says this in the podcast. He said, I looked at, and well, it was Quinn Snyder told Billy Donovan in the group of refs, Rudy Gobert, he tested positive for COVID-19. And Billy Donovan looked at him and said, what the fuck is COVID-19? And Quinn was like, coronavirus, like the pandemic going on. And he was like, okay. And so then they huddled up, talked about it, and then they went their separate ways, not knowing what was going to happen. They were still deciding. So then they made an announcement they made the PA announcer make the announcement, say, the game's going to start later than usual. Please stand by. That's all that he said. And so to make time pass by, they had the halftime performer do his performance and some other stuff. They were shooting off cannon shirts and all of this, and they were doing all of that. And then they had the halftime performer, and then they decided, okay, we can't play this game. We can't do this. It'll look so bad, and it would have looked really bad if they played this game, especially knowing now. But after the performer finished, they had the PA announcer make the announcement. Today's game has been postponed indefinitely. Please exit safely. All of you are safe. And he said, all of you are safe. Please exit safely and take as much time as you need to get out. Basically saying, take your time and stay away from other people, is what he was kind of trying to say. And so at that point, both teams head to the locker rooms and they have to get tested. The Thunder, all that they got was temperature checks, checking on symptoms and stuff, and then they got sent home. Jazz players had to stay, get tested, wait for their results until they could leave. And I remember Jordan Clarkson talking about it, and he was like, it was weird. These people, they came in like the Monsters Inc. costumes. If you remember, like the health people at Monsters Inc., like they came in wearing that kind of outfit and testing us. And Clarkson was for sure thought that he had got it, and so that was a crazy night. And then luckily they were allowed. They said, okay, go back to your hotel. You can leave. And after all the negatives, they all of their teammates, they met up and they noticed Donovan Mitchell was not there, and they said, "Oh shit, Donovan probably got it if he's not with us," which was the case. He did, but so at 8:39 p.m. was when the game got mysteriously suspended or postponed. At 9:31, so 50. Almost an hour later, the NBA postponed its season, and they announced Gobert tested positive. And this was insane. So this was the first big stepping stone to fall in all of this. This was the first big stepping stone, was this. The NBA suspending their season and saying, we're going to go on hiatus. We don't know how long. We'll talk when we can. This is a serious situation. And so then the rest of the games played out that were in progress. Vince Carter played his last game against the New York Knicks, and the Mavericks played the Pelicans, I believe it was, and Mark Cuban saw the live announcement in the middle of the game, and his reaction, absolutely, he was shocked. His eyes were like, what? He was like, what? You guys need to search up the video, just Mark Cuban reaction to NBA suspended. NBA season suspended, and his reaction was insane. And he did an interview for ESPN, and he was still just as shocked. And so that was March 11th. March 12th, they announced Donovan Mitchell tested positive at 10 a.m. And so so this is all these times are Eastern times. So it was sorry. So it was 5:39 when the game got canceled. 6:30 season suspended, Western time. So 7 a.m. Donovan Mitchell tests positive. They knew the night before. They announced it in the morning. And then this is March 12th now. We are on to March 12th, and I remember this day vividly because the NBA had suspended their season. I said, I need to get up. I had work in the morning. Again, so March 12th was the last day I worked at Habit for a good long time. I eventually did go back for a few months until I got my new job. But anyways, March 12th was my last day at work. But I woke up and I said, I need to turn on the TV. I need to see what's going on. And it was talking about Donovan Mitchell. And then at 8:45 a.m., the Big Ten canceled their tournament. Their tournament for March Madness, becoming the first conference. And then at 9:50, I was watching this game. It was the Big East tournament, Creighton St. John's. Game ended at halftime. Halftime, they ended the game. They stopped it. They said, we're not doing the tournament. Just, no more Big East tournament. Game's over. At halftime. At, what was that? What would that be? 12. At 10:30 a.m., the NHL suspended their season. The NHL suspended their season. And then at about 11, the MEAC, they were the last conference to suspend their season. The MLB suspends spring training and says delays the season. This all happened in such a short time frame. It was absolutely crazy. I remember sitting on my TV watching, and it was first Big Ten is done. And then it was SEC, ACC. Then all of them start falling. Then the NHL said we're done. And 5 minutes later, we expect the MLB to say the same thing, which they did later on in the day. And all these happened within a 20, 30-minute period. And then the game being suspended at halftime. And then at 1:17, the NCAA tournament was canceled. March Madness canceled. So those were the events of March 11th and March 12th, 2020. And I was glued to my TV until I had to show up for work. And I showed up to work, And I didn't know much about this. So I just showed up to work like it was a normal day. And it was nothing but that. That was the last day I worked at Habit for a long time. Um, and because then after that, you had the shutdown, and I opted to not go to work and Habit closed, and then I opted not to come back when they reopened. So, but that day is still so clear in my head, all the events that happened, and it's just crazy to think that that was a year ago, and where we are today, we have the NBA season resumed. The Lakers won the championship. The MLB played a 60-game season, and the Dodgers won the championship. The NHL resumed their playoff bubble, and the Tampa Bay Lightning won the Stanley Cup. We had a full NFL season with Brady and the Bucks winning the Super Bowl. And we had a new season of NBA start back in December. And the second half just kicked off a few days ago. And we have March Madness starting in less than a week. On Friday, the 19th, first round of March Madness starts. And another NHL season started. All of that has happened since then, which is just crazy to me. And I remember that time without sports, and it was so fucking hard. It was so hard. I live, breathe, die by sports. I love my sports. Anyone who knows me knows how much I love sports. And it hurt so bad. I was rewatching Laker games, Duck games, Dodger games, Vikings games. I didn't care what it was. I wanted it on. I watched The Last Dance. That was, thank goodness, that was such a nice relief to have on during all of this. But just, it's so crazy. And now, right now, we are in spring training, and another baseball season is about to start with fans. Now, I know everyone has their different opinions, whether fans should or should not be allowed in stadiums. I don't agree with what the Rangers are doing, entering their stadium at 100% capacity. But I am so goddamn happy that the Dodgers are having fans. I am so happy Disneyland is reopening and all these parks are reopening. I am so happy for that. I can't wait. Now, I'm not going to be the first to rush into the door. I'm not going to be the first one to go to all these things. But I'm going to try and go to some of these things. I am such an outdoors person and going out and doing stuff. That is like me. That's me. I love going out. Me and Alyssa love going out and doing stuff. So, it's been hard. And I know it's been a hard year for all of us. I know we've all probably known someone who has either had or passed away from COVID. I've known people. I've known people who have had it. I'm sure you have. But it seems like we are in a brighter spot in our country today. It seems like we have seen the grass. We may be seeing that greener grass. And I know COVID has been really hard for a lot of people, and it's been a very difficult thing. But one benefit that I've had from COVID is I've started this podcast, this YouTube channel. It has all started because of COVID. I would have never thought about starting this, ever. And sitting at my house doing nothing for months on end and realizing I have a huge opinion on sports and I want people to know my opinion, why don't I record myself and put it out for anyone to listen to, and then they can bash me on my opinions, Right? I love that. I'm okay with that. I don't care if you disagree with me on my opinions. That's okay. But yeah, that is one. I know I am always the person who's going to look on the brighter side and try to find a benefit. And I found a very amazing benefit, which is this podcast, which I am so happy to bring you every single week. And, I'm doing my best to do more than twice a week. I'm trying to get 2 to 3 episodes a week. I'm going to try and get more when I can. But I'm so thankful that I've started this podcast because I love doing it. I don't care how many views, how many likes, how many people follow me. I don't care about that. I just care about voicing my opinion and for everyone to hear it. But I know it's been a hard year, but it seems like things are turning a corner, and sports have been such an influential part in vaccine distribution, testing distribution, going like voting centers, and sports has really been a glue for a lot of people. It has kept them upright. It has kept them mentally stable. I know it put me in a good mood. I was one of those people. Remember when the KBO, that was the first sport to come back, and it was going to be live on TV, and ESPN made a deal with them? I was there 2 a.m. on ESPN watching KBO baseball, opening day for them. I was one of those crazy people because I miss sports so much. I needed live sports. But it's been a crazy year. It has been. But it seems like the grass is starting to get greener. And still, we need to stay safe. We need to stay diligent. We can't ease up yet. But I'm seeing a greener grass finally. So that's all. Like, I just wanted to recap that. Because it's just crazy to me what has happened in that year since. All of that's happened in the year since. All of it has happened. So I guess, I'll end it. I'll end it. We'll talk a little bit of current news. Some NHL news that I'm super stoked about. The NHL has come to an agreement with ESPN on a 7-year TV deal, which starting in the 2021-2022 season, they will have the rights to a lot of hockey games. They have them and ABC have the rights to the Stanley Cup Final and a majority of the playoff games, which is big news because this is hockey's in. It's ESPN. Because here in this U.S., especially in California, it is not the top sport. I don't think it ever will be the top sport. But this is more publicity, and more people will watch hockey now. So I'm for it. I love getting new fans involved. And so that is a big agreement. Super exciting news. So, yeah. That's all I have for today's episode, you guys. I just wanted to recap where we were 1 year ago today and where we are now and what's gone on. And so that's all I want to do. Just give a recap. Tomorrow, I'm going to recap the week. We're going to talk a lot of sports. I'm going to be with George. We're going to be talking debates. We're going to be doing all of that. And of course, we got March Madness stuff going on. I will have an announcement for you on Sunday about March Madness. I will be doing a tournament challenge group, and there will be a prize for the winner of anyone who enters my group. On Sunday, I will post all of those details. So, before I end the episode, please follow me on Spotify, follow me on Instagram, J_sports_podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe like the video, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Hit me up in the comments when I post this on Instagram or on YouTube. I got these banners in the back. I have every league, every team of NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL. If there's a certain one you want me to throw back there, let me know. I'll throw it back there. If you have questions about any sport, ask me. I'll answer them for you on the next podcast. So hit me up in the comments, DM me some questions. I would love to answer them. And also, Alyssa has created a Disney YouTube channel where she talks all things Disney. So you can find that Disney with Liz on YouTube and Instagram. So go follow her. Go check out her first YouTube video. It's super awesome. That's all I got for you guys today. Stay safe. The grass is greener on the other side. And until next time, this has been Joshua Nowakowski of the J Sports Podcast. Peace.